Welcome to the London Horror Movie Club. I'm horror writer Lauren Jane Barnett.
And I'm Chris Sapikowski, Lauren's older brother, and I've been watching horror movies since I was 8.
Join us as we talk about the wild, weird, and wonderful horror films set in England's eerie capital. Welcome back, horror movie fans. Today we have with us a Hampshire filmmaker who directs, writes, and produces as part of Caio Handy, a production company known for emotional tension and some very cool historical horror films. You might have seen his films The Numbers and the World War I set Tales from the Great War and The Beast of No Man's Land. And of course, he also has contributed to Video Shop Tales of Terror 1 and 2, which is often talked about here. And he is also a standout actor. He's appeared in films like Burnt Flowers, Pocket Film of Superstitions, and When the Sun Stands Still, which when this has come out will have just come out on the 26th of August. So you can go out and grab that and see Andy in it. And he was also, which I'm hoping we'll get to ask about, an extra at Phantom Menace. So he's been in the big Star Wars. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to stop prattling away and just say, welcome, Andy.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're very excited.
It's really nice to be on board. Thank you.
No, it's great. There's so much to talk about, honestly, but I think what I'll do is I'll take it back to the beginning, because I think you told me once your career started when you were like a teenager or maybe 16, and you went for a job that you didn't get. Is that right?
Wow, that's really well remembered. Yeah.
Yeah. It stands out.
Yeah, at Elstree Studios. You know, because I grew up in West London, so you've got Elstree, Shepperton, Teddington. You know, you just got a whole bunch of studios over in West London, Ealing. And yeah, the first job I went for was as a runner at Elstree Studios, but I didn't get it, and I didn't get it because they said to me, "How did you get here?" And I said, "My mum gave me a lift." And they were like, "Well, she's not going to be able to give you a lift every day to work, is she? Don't you drive?" And I was like, "No, I don't drive." So I didn't get it because of that. It was like a 2-hour train journey if I was to take the train each way. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. So why did that then make you go, "Oh, okay, I'll just do it myself"? What inspired that?
Well, I tried a few other places as well. Applied to a bunch of other places, and you know, training schemes like youth training schemes, etc. And I didn't get anywhere. So I just thought, well, I'll just see what I can do, you know, just kind of mess around with a few bits and pieces, VHS camera, see what I can do. And yeah, we made some stuff, but none of it is. I mean, the sad thing is, you know, it's probably in an attic somewhere, possibly at my mum's, but who knows? Lost forever, perhaps.
And how old were you when you were applying for these jobs?
This was 16, so straight out of school. I kind of left school. I didn't go to college. I just literally went out. I wanted to work, so I just left at the end of what we called fifth form, but it's now called year 11.
Confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing. I don't know why they changed it, and it's bizarre as well because you still have sixth form. So the school system used to be in secondary school: first form, second form, third form, fourth form, fifth form, sixth form, and then upper sixth. And then they changed it to year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, year 11, but they kept sixth form. Although some places still call it year 12 or they call it year 12 or year 13, but it's still kind of, you still get sixth form centres. So yeah, it's just England and the weird way that they do things.
So it sounds like you've loved films since you were young. What were some of your favorites?
I mean, I kind of got introduced to film. My dad wasn't really a big sporting man. He was very much more into paranormal and horror and sci-fi. So he used to take us to the cinema on a Saturday, and we would watch things like, you know, things with like Caroline Munro, the Sinbad films and things like that, you know. At the Earth's Core, The Land That Time Forgot, you know, those kind of adventure type films were the first real films that I saw at the cinema.
Those are great.
Then, of course, it led when I was 9, Star Wars hit. So that was a big game changer in terms of my viewing.
God, I bet. Do you remember going to your first Star Wars movie?
I don't remember it. Weirdly, I remember the advert on TV advertising Star Wars, but I don't remember going to the cinema. But I can remember watching the advert and thinking, wow, this looks absolutely incredible. But yeah, I've got no recollection of seeing it in the cinema, which is bizarre. It must have been so good that it blew my mind and I just couldn't process it or something.
It's funny how that works because it's such a standout part of your kind of your movie loving, person, like the part of your brain that just loves films, and then it's like just blank. You
Yeah.
don't remember it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I remember getting a Luke Skywalker action figure. I remember buying it in the shop that I bought it from. That was the first kind of action figure that I had. But I bought that before I saw the film. So and I had it was like a comic book version of Star Wars, which had the weird bit in it that they cut out when he meets all his friends in the Toshi station on Tatooine at the beginning when Luke meets it. So I kind of knew the story before I saw the film, and had the action figure before I saw the film. I think it was delayed a bit before it came out in the UK. It came out in the US in '77, but it didn't reach us until '78.
Ah, that's quite cool though that you had this like built up and all. Do you remember then other films that you were like had built up in that same way where you were ready for them by the time they came over?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest one actually was Alien. And I mean, that was released in 1980, so I would have been 11. And a friend of mine had it on video. His parents just let him, kind of watch stuff. And we watched it there. But I had the book, which was the making of Alien, which I bought at school. They had like this school sort of book, scholastic book buying scheme. And I bought the book, The Making of Alien, and kind of devoured it before I'd seen the film. So I was like, oh, this is great when I finally got to see the film.
Nice.
And were you pointing out all the parts of how that was made, and then like kind of interjecting in between the movie, or were you able to still watch it with your buddies?
I mean, I was still able to watch it because I think I was a little bit transfixed by it because the book was good, but it had a lot of kind of the concept art and stuff like that in there, but not so much about the story. There was some nice stills and whatnot. So I think the story just kept me gripped. So yeah, I managed to watch it. Possibly I was a little bit terrified in bits, and maybe that's why you just kind of focus a bit.
Yeah, God,
Oh
at
yeah.
11. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's definitely early to watch that film because that film still holds up. I mean, that we showed it to my kids two summers ago maybe, and they loved it.
Yeah.
But they weren't 11 either. So I mean, they were a little bit older, but they were like, this is a good movie, till the point where we had to buy all the subsequent Aliens, and they liked them less and less and less.
Yeah. Funny enough, I logged on to Disney last night to watch the new Alien TV series.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
But the account's in my son's name, and it wouldn't let me in unless I verified my date of birth, and it sent an email to to him that he had to kind of pass the verification. And of course, he doesn't read emails, so I was just like, oh, I couldn't get into it. So maybe tonight I'll start watching Alien. Is it Alien Earth or Alien World or something?
Alien Earth. I think you will enjoy it. It's actually really. I've seen the first two, and it's really well done.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I like Romulus. I know a lot of people weren't so keen on it, but I felt that Romulus was a bit more like the original Alien. It had that feel about it.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, especially the atmosphere. It's a lot more that like ghost house locked room situation where you're just stuck in the space chasing it. I could see that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going to your own kind of early films, we've seen. I know you did some when you were 16, so a long time ago. I've seen a few of your shorts, and you tend to like stuff that's very tense. Did that come up naturally? Is it because you like these kind of films?
Possibly. I mean, it's that weird thing that you're a writer, Lauren, so you know this. You kind of just write stuff, and sometimes you don't know where it's going. Sometimes you plan it out. You kind of have a bit of a shape. I don't know what your process is in particular, but mine always ends up being quite dark. But I wouldn't really class it as horror, but it normally There used to be a joke that people would say every time I made a film, it's basically two guys in a room and one of them's going to die. You know? So, yeah.
That's true. I think that definitely, like, you could have that be the tagline for Caio Handy. Two guys in the room, one's going to die.
One's going to die.
You've touched on the fact that you write as well as produce and act in these. Do you have a favorite?
Of the ones of all the sort of the things.
Yeah.
I mean, writing is great, and again, you'll know this because you're a writer, because you get to create the world, and you get to develop the characters in a way that you want to develop them. Directing is slightly different. I mean, I guess if you're directing your own stuff, it's good because you kind of know where you want to go with it. Sometimes it's hard to hand it over to someone else because they might take it in a direction that you didn't want to go in. So yeah, I don't know. Favorite wise, yeah, I mean, I probably think acting, to be honest with you, because it's just kind of easy. You just got to turn up and do your bit and then leave. I mean, all the actors out there are going, "How dare you? We worked for years honing our craft, and you're saying it's easy." But I mean, relative to being a director, where you've got so many things flying around in your head on the day, being an actor, you turn up, you do your bit, and you leave, and you can kind of enjoy it, and you're just focusing on the one thing. Whereas if you're a director, generally you're focusing, well, particularly at our level, you're focusing on more than just one thing.
I'm interested in the writing side of it in the sense that I've read, with other directors and writers, and like Quentin Tarantino writes a script a certain way and he wants it to be kind of acted out, no ad-libbing. Here's the script, say it the way, word for word what it is. And then there's other pieces that you'll read about where it's like it's more of a, hey, we're going to do it this way and then we're going to do 3 takes, you guys just ad-lib it and then we'll see which one works the best. Do you have a preference when you're writing? Like, do you want it kind of word for word, or do you give it kind of a scope and boundaries and then let people play within that?
I mean, I think it depends on the scene.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes it really annoys me when you give a script to an actor and they start putting in ums and ahs or whatever. And I think, is that just because they haven't learnt their lines properly, or are they trying to add some kind of depth to the character? But if it isn't written, you kind of think, well, why are they putting those ums in? Because it can totally change the meaning of that scene.
Right.
But other times, I think some, actors will read something in it that perhaps you haven't seen as the writer, even though it's your creation, and they'll bring something to it that will enhance it. So it's a tricky one. I really think it depends on the scene. Possibly depends on how I'm feeling that day as well. Whether I'm like, right, we got to do this my way or no other way, or whether I'm just like, okay, let's just roll with it and see what happens. Possibly how many other things I'm thinking of at that moment might determine how I react to actors messing around with the words.
You've been obviously on quite a lot of the sets of things that you've written and then are either acting in or in some way like involved on the day. Do you have any particular moments where you were surprised by the way a director and actor handled it, or whether it was somewhere that just really sticks out in your memory in some way?
Yeah, funny enough, there was I worked on this massive budget film in Shepperton Studios years ago called Just Visiting, and it was like a Hollywood remake of a French film. It was a really popular French film, and they got the same actors, Jean Reno, the guy that was in Leon the Professional, and loads of other things, and Christian Clavier was like his sort of sidekick. It was like this time traveling thing. They go from the medieval period to present day Chicago and whatever. And on that, I saw the assistant director basically called the production to a halt because he didn't like the way the director had spoken to him. And that kind of made me realize how much power, even though the director is quite powerful, the assistant director is employed by the production company. The assistant director's gone, I'm not doing anything until the director apologizes to me. Production just stopped. So seeing something like that, those kind of power dynamics when there's big money at play is really interesting. The director obviously had to come back and apologize because there was a lot of money riding on it.
Wow. I would never have known. Yeah, that wouldn't have, I would have thought that the director would have just been like, all right, find another assistant director.
Yeah, exactly. And it was interesting because the director was French. He was the original director of the original film. The assistant director was American. He was obviously employed by the producers, and held the power there. It was really, really quite interesting to see. And this was all played out in front of a room of actors and extras, and crew.
Yeah, not even behind closed doors, just out for everyone
Yeah,
to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Director, proper kind of rude meltdown. Assistant director called him out on it in front of everyone. It was just like, whoa, okay, this is interesting.
What do you've worked in both, like obviously the big budget ones, like this film that you're talking about, and then like smaller, more independent budget. What do you prefer doing? Like as far as freedom goes, I would think that there's more freedom in the independent side, but more benefits, obviously, with help and stuff like that from the bigger budgets. But do you have a preference?
I mean, personally, I'd say the independent side purely because it's a control thing. You've got more control over what's happening. A friend of mine is a very successful writer, and he told me he had a play on at the Royal Court, which is this theatre in Chelsea in London. And he said the only problem with it is every step of the way when you're writing a play like that, someone is getting involved and interfering with your writing. So he said you write the play, you send it off to the producer sends it back, says, I don't like it, can you rewrite this bit? And this goes on maybe 5-6 times, back and forth, back and forth. It finally gets to rehearsal. The director is going through it with the actors and he goes, I don't like this line. Can we change this? The actors go, I don't like this line. It's not working for me. Can we change that? And he said, this goes on, so by the time it gets to the stage, it's not the pure thing that you've written. It's quite removed from what you've written. And then he says, to top it all off, the real kick in the nuts is that your average man on the street will come up to you and say, oh yeah, I really liked your play, but I think you could have done this bit like that.
And
Everybody's got notes. Everybody's got
exactly.
Notes.
Whereas when you're working on an independent film, if I've got say the numbers, the script is pretty much going to be the same as what I've written as what you see on screen. There's not going to be that much interference, No one's going to ask me to cast specific people in roles, or no one's going to ask me to take bits out because they found it offensive. It is what it is.
Speaking of numbers, that I think I remember you saying it was originally going to be a short and it ended up effectively being a feature. What's the story of that?
That was just a case of me getting carried away and not really being well prepared. So I had this idea for a short, and I thought, yeah, I'll make this short film. I've been making short films for 20 odd years, and the issue I have with short films is that you make a short film, you submit it to a few festivals, it might get accepted by a festival, so you go to that festival, you watch your film in a room of about 10 or 15 people, if you're lucky, and then you go home, and that's it, end of story, and that's it. Unlike places like Horror on Sea, of course, where you've got a community there, and everyone's there not just for their own single film, they're there for the whole community aspect of it. So yeah, with the numbers, I just kind of got carried away. And when we shot the first segment, it was one story that was going to be a short film about this guy that's going to die, and he lives in a block of flats, and there's an elevator and whatever. After we were put, I think we'd almost finished it, and I thought, you know what, this would be great if we expanded this and made it like a series of stories, almost like an anthology. And that's what happened, kind of. just kept going. The DOP, a guy called Dan, really lovely guy, was getting so exasperated with me because every time he thought he'd seen the final copy of the script, something else would appear. Like, we're going to do this bit. So there we go.
I love that.
So you just acted as your own production company where you were just like, you know what, we have notes and we're going to add more to this side and more to this side and more to this side. That's fine. It's yours.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the freedom that you get with independent film. I mean, there are limitations, of course, in that you don't have any money. So if you're shooting someone else's money, perhaps you can be a little more laissez-faire with your budget. But in the case of us, we just had to make do with what we had. But you do have that control. You do it, but that's the downside, is you're limited by either time or money at some point.
Right.
I mean, budget's so tough with indie films. I was so impressed when I found out that you did the first one, so Tales from the Great War, because it's a World War film, and historical films are so, the costumes and getting everything right are so, in my mind, quite expensive for an indie film. What made you take that risk to try and recreate something that can be quite hard to recreate?
Well, I wrote that script originally, and I thought, well, this will never get made unless I can pitch it to a company and they'll give me, a couple of $100,000, and then I think I could feasibly do it. And then I was kind of, I'd come out of hospital and they'd given me morphine, and I think the morphine was like fucking with my head a bit. And I just thought, oh, you know what, I can make this film. That's all right. We can just dig a hole in someone's garden and pretend it's a trench. We'll do some creative camera angles. We might be able to pull it off, and then it's kind of steamrolled from there. And then, once the ball is rolling and you've kind of got actors involved, there's no going back really. Although Tina, my partner, was probably wanting to kill me at times, but there you go. I'm still alive.
And you did another World War I with the Beasts in No Man's Land, Beasts of No Man's Land, sorry.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be just a fake trailer, but I got carried away and we shot some extra stuff.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
It was just a fake trailer for Video Shop 2. And then I was surprised actually, because I tell you what Horror on Sea did for me, which I didn't have before, was people wanting to kind of work with me, actors wanting to work. So it's really hard to get actors beforehand when I was making shorts and whatnot. But then after Horror on Sea, after I've been to Horror on Sea, you do meet people, and people are like, yeah, I'll happily be in your film. And I'm like, well, I've got no money. No, it's fine. Caio Handy, it's fine. Caio, if you're watching, I do value your performance, but, we have no cash.
I was watching some of the trailers yesterday, and it was funny because I was able to go, the Horror on Sea this year and start to meet everybody. But we had interviewed Cy on here, and then I met him in person, and I saw him again in the films at the festival. And then when I was watching the trailer for Beast of No Man's Land, I think he's in that one, right? And then he said, I'm like starting to know people. I'm like, I've met that person. Like, I've met this person. I'm like, but it's great. I'm like, oh, I got to see those movies because they definitely sparked my interest. The Great War one, I was like, this is. I wouldn't have guessed it was someone's yard or a trench that way. I was like, how? That's like. It looked legit to me, so I was all in just from watching the trailer.
Well, bizarrely, we got those trenches. It was really weird. It was in the middle of COVID, and I thought, I wonder if there is any World War I trenches in England anywhere. So I just put into Google World War I trench England, and a couple of options came up. I was like, wow, this is incredible. The first one was like a proper big film set somewhere, like Norfolk, where they had like a ruined church and all kinds of things. And then there was this other one which was kind of open to school groups, where they take kids down there to kind of get a feel for what life was like in the World War I trench. And I emailed that one, and within about a minute of emailing, I got this phone call from him, and he was like, all our school bookings have been cancelled because of COVID, so I can give you a really good rate if you're interested in coming down and filming. And I was like, okay, fine. So I've booked 3 days down there. We were mostly shooting nights, but it was great. It was a great little setup, and it was so cheap as well. And he threw in a few costumes and props and whatnot. And then I was talking to, basically what he was a kid when he was about 16. He was really interested in World War I, and his dad, he lives on a farm in Kent, and his dad owned this farm, and he asked his dad for a bit of land where he could dig a World War I trench because he wanted to make a recreation of it. And their neighbour had a digger or something, and again got a bit carried away, and they built this massive trench system. So the kid, he's about 21 now, but yeah, essentially that's his little business. Is he hires it out to schools or opens it up for historical reenactments.
Oh, wow.
And the occasional indie film crew. And when we were there, funny enough, Netflix were there the week before us, shooting Sex Education. I don't know if you've seen that, but they were apparently in the narrative of their episode, they were in France visiting a World War I trench, but it was actually this one in Kent. So yeah.
So
and
you
actually,
share
the
with
farmer
Netflix.
said,
I was just said, so you share with Netflix. That's
well, yeah, and the farmer said to us, which I thought was really decent of him. He goes, the reason we could give you such a good rate is because Netflix are paying a fortune for this. So they charged. So I thought it was quite nice that, because a lot of people don't differentiate. You contact them and say, we're shooting this film. We've only got a crew of like 4 people. There's only 2 people in the cast or whatever. We've got a really small budget. And they go, £10,000, whether you're that or whether, your Channel 4 or whatever. But he differentiated, which I thought was really nice, and could see that people like Netflix can pay, but people like us couldn't pay the same sort of money, which I thought was decent of him.
That is, I'm sure people see like, oh, you're making a movie, so you've got money. So here, just this is what we charge, and you're going to pay this.
Exactly.
So that is good.
Exactly. I've noticed though, I was looking at, I've done a bit of research on the next film, and I was looking at one place, and they did have like a sliding scale based on size of crew, which I thought was really good. So, if you keep your crew really small, like 3 of you, it was really quite cheap. But obviously, if there's 40 of you, it's quite expensive. And I think that's probably about right, because 3 people aren't going to cause too much chaos, but 40 people are going to cause a lot of chaos.
Now, when you're looking at locations, as like when you said you were like Googling that location or you're reaching out to people, are you writing this story before you think of locations, or have you ever saw a location and said, I need to do something around that? Can the location kind of spark the story?
Yeah, I know a lot of filmmakers that do that. I mean, I think I'm just a bit stupid. I don't do that. I write a script set in World War I and think, oh yeah, we can make this happen. In Tales from the Great War, there's a scene set in a theatre, and again, I just wrote the scene and thought, oh, we'll somehow make it work. And there's a scene in a bookshop, and oh yeah, we'll somehow make that work. But I do know a lot of writers that or filmmakers that if they've got a location to hand, like if they know someone that owns a hotel or something, they'll shoot their film in that hotel. And I think that's probably the sensible way to do it, to be honest with you. Not my way. It's not a sensible way.
But in some ways it's great because you have these very ambitious films that then when you pull off are mesmerizing, because like Chris said, you feel like you're there in a way that you would never expect from, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but indie films, it's hard to get stuff, and so it's jaw-dropping when you see stuff that works.
Well, it's funny because I think a lot of people, we talked about how some people will charge top dollar as soon as they get a whiff of well, one example, Tales from the Great War, the first scene we shot was I needed like a little section of woods, a wooded area, to filming, and we had a gun involved. So, in the UK, that's tricky. If you've got a gun involved, you can't just run around woods with a gun. Someone's going to call the police, or, something's going to happen. You're supposed to notify the police if you're doing stuff, but the landowners might be like, well, why have you got a gun on our land? And I tried to do it all legitimately from the first instance. So I contacted the Forestry Commission and said, we're looking for an area of woods. We're going to be running around with a gun in it. And they quoted me silly money for it, like ludicrous amount of money. And then they also said we had to marshal the public ourselves. And, I did this risk assessment for them about 4 or 5 times, back and forth. And in the end, I think I managed to get it down to about 400 quid. But we would have had to have people there stopping dog walkers and that. It wasn't a closed off area, so it was a little bit annoying. So then I just contacted this local museum down in Sussex, and because I knew they had like a little bit of woods in there, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, come in, come and do it. We're closed on a Monday, so you can come in on a Monday. They're just doing maintenance work there. You can have it from 10 o'clock till 4 o'clock, 10 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, well, how much is it going to be? And they went, nothing, as long as you give us some photos for our newsletter. I was like, oh, okay. So some people do want to help. It's just tapping into those kind of locations that, and those people that kind of appreciate that you're not making millions out of your films. You're barely scraping even, I would say, on most films. But I gave them a donation afterwards to say thanks. I gave the museum a donation because I thought they didn't have to do that, and they went above and beyond to kind of accommodate us. So it's just finding those little gems,
Do you have like a ledger or a journal now of like people that have helped, and like if you ever need to go back to a wooded area, you just go straight to them, so you don't have to deal with that? I mean, it's like you have a list of like, these are the people that helped and these are the people that I'm cursing for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly that. It seems to be avoid the big companies, your Forestry Commission, your National Trust. All of those people want to charge a lot of money, and it's probably because they're used to getting in like BBC productions and whatever that are happy to pay. Yeah. Because the Forestry Commission, originally the area of woods they were showing me was where they shot the opening to Gladiator. There's that massive battle at the beginning of Gladiator between the Romans and the German barbarians or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way they're going to give us this cheap if that was in Gladiator, because that's kind of how they were selling it to us. Oh, it was in Gladiator. Yeah, it's not a great thing.
On the acting side of things, do you have a lot of more fun on the sets of indie films as well, or do you find that it's quite nice being on those bigger budget films where you can have probably cooler catering than we usually do and comfy chairs to sit on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the indie film, because some indie filmmakers, you walk on their set and it's almost like the equivalent of working on a big budget production. They they take care of you. Recently, I worked with Baz Hancher. I don't know if you're familiar with Baz's work.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you working on?
It's a film called 45, which is like a sort of Antichrist, end of the world revelation type film. The coming of the Antichrist, and he made me feel really, really valued, and it's just something you can't put your finger on. Just the way that he talked with me, the way that he treated me, the hospitality that was shown to us in that little Kidderminster sort of scene that they have there. It was just fantastic. A really, really good experience. I think the film as well is going to be fantastic. I think he's really put a lot of heart into it. And of the subject matter, the whole Antichrist thing, it's really got those kind of Omen vibes to it. And then other places you go and, you're not treated so well, but you can kind of understand it because everyone's wearing many hats and they're trying to juggle a lot of things. So, I think it depends. And, you can catch people on good days, you can catch people on off days. I think as an indie filmmaker, it can be very stressful at times. People are really trying to look out for so many things. They're spinning loads of plates at a time. So ideally, I like going to sets and just kind of trying to help out in some way as well, so they're not so stressed, and make the filmmaker feel a little bit at ease as well.
That's amazing.
And so you were in a Star Wars. We were talking. I think Lauren brought that up before, and that's obviously, it doesn't get much bigger budget than that. What did you do in Star Wars? How did you get that?
Well, I'm a chronic name dropper. So I was working in this bookshop on Charing Cross Road called Foyles, big old bookshop, and it's basically where university graduates go if they can't get a proper job. They end up going to Foyles and working in the bookshop for like less than minimum wage as it was then. But it's I've got happy memories of working there. even though I was getting paid peanuts. But anyway, I was in the bookshop one day, and Anthony Daniels walked in, the guy who plays C-3PO in Star Wars. And I recognized him because he had a column in a magazine called the Star Wars Insider. It was a bit of a sort of niche magazine because obviously Star Wars, they hadn't made one since 1983, and this was around 1996 that I was working there. And so anyway, I started talking to him, and he mentioned he'd been on the phone to Lucasfilm. And I was like, oh yeah. He said, yeah, they're making a prequel, and I'm going to be in it as C-3PO again. I was like, okay. So anyway, so then it was on my radar, you see, this kind of, wow, they're making a new Star Wars. And I used to pop out on my lunch breaks and go to a comic shop called Forbidden Planet, which was then on New Oxford Street. It's like a 5-minute walk from Foyles. One lunchtime I went there, and there was just literally a sign on the door saying, extras wanted for new Star Wars film, phone this number. Literally on the door. I mean, wow. So I phoned the number, and they said, well, how tall are you? I was like, 6 foot. And they said, okay, can you come down to our studio in Ladbroke Grove? So I went down there, and they measured me up, took some photos and whatnot, literally just like that. And then I went away, and they said, we'll call you. And I didn't hear anything for like a couple of weeks. So I thought, oh, well, that didn't happen. But then anyway, I get this, at the time I had a pager, and I got a message come through on my pager, this number to ring. So I rang the number, and they said, oh, can you come down to Leavesden Studios tomorrow at 5 a.m? And I was like, what? Okay. They said, just when you get to security, your name will be on the list. Just tell them your name, they'll let you in. So I had a car, so I drove down to Leavesden Studios for 5 a.m. My name was on the list. There was loads of people outside the studios taking pictures and whatnot. And yeah, that was it. And then I was in. And I was in that scene where it's right at the end of the movie. When if you're familiar with the film, there's like an award, not an award. It's kind of like a weird thing where Jar Jar Binks is at the end, and they hold up this globe and whatnot. And I was like a guard in that scene.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that was my Star Wars story, and I kept pinching myself, going, "Wow, I'm on a Star Wars set."
What was
now? Have you been able to find your action figure for that? There's got to be. Do you have an action figure of yourself, like the guard at the ceremony?
I do.
Do you?
It's a sad thing to admit, but I do.
That's not sad at all. That's not sad at all.
Obviously, the photo is not me. It's just some other random guard as well. There was about 30 of us. But I thought I got it. And funny enough, occasionally I get some fan mail come through from... I got invited to do an interview for the Star Wars Club Portugal about 10 years ago. And they had the action figure thing, and they wanted me to sign it. They sent me a photo of the action figure with my photo next to it, and they wanted me to sign it. I was like, why? No one's gonna pay for that.
That's awesome, honestly. What was a day on set like there?
Well, it's pretty mad because it was it's where you've been to Harry Potter World.
Yeah, but
I have.
They just went last year? Year before?
Yeah,
2 years ago. Yeah,
because it was basically there, Leavesden, where Harry Potter World is.
Okay.
And I think it used to be like an airfield, so they had this big outdoor set. That was Naboo, the planet Naboo. But it only went about 2 stories high. The rest of it, obviously, they CGI'd in afterwards. But it was pretty mad. It was really hot. It was the beginning of September, so it was really hot. But yeah, it was just bizarre because, you'd be sitting there and then George Lucas would walk past. Ewan McGregor was there, and it was like, wow, this is just a bit crazy. And then that's how I got the gig on The Mummy as well. I was just sitting in this tent, kind of minding my own business. And this lady came up to me who ran this extras agency, and she said, oh, have you enjoyed yourself? And I went, yeah, this is great. I mean, I'm getting paid to be in Star Wars and just sitting around in a tent at the moment, just waiting to go on set. And she said, well, do you want to do some more of this stuff? And I went, yeah, sure. And then they phoned me up and said, can you do The Mummy? I was like, okay. But I didn't know it was the mummy at the time, it's just set in ancient Egypt.
So cool. What were you in the
Well,
mummy?
yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, one of those gold priests, at the start of the film, they kind of flash back to ancient Egypt. And I was one of these gold priests. So again, this was one of these things where I get this phone call and they said, oh, are you still bald? I was like, yeah, I'm still bald. And they said, how would you feel about shaving your eyebrows off? And I went, and then she went, £60 per eyebrow. And I went, yeah, go for it. Sign me up.
I love the idea that they price out each eyebrow.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I got to the set, it was really weird. There's a bunch of these bald guys. Everyone was bald there. And we all had to strip off, and they were basically waxing any body hair off us and then covering us head to toe in gold makeup. And I remember being on set, and we were wearing loincloths, covered in gold makeup. And I was being on set, and I felt someone touching my arse. I was like, what? Someone coming on to me on set. And it was a makeup lady, and she crouched down, and she was just putting a bit of gold makeup on my arse, because she said, where I'd sat down, it smudged off. Oh. I was like, oh my God, what is this? What have I become?
Oh my gosh. That's something that you don't, that's not something you get on the independent scenes as much. You don't get a lot of makeup ass touch-ups.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any of that. Lou from Fausti Films put some scars on my back when I got whipped by Aviana for Video Shop 1 in Invergessen. That's probably about as close as it's got. But never say never.
Yeah.
It's giving people ideas. When this goes out, they'll be directed and we're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, we know who we can call. Not.
Well, I've never had a phone call from anybody asking me if I'm still bald. And if I have, it would usually be for the joke and be like, haha, and then click. But to have the follow-up be like, will you shave your eyebrows for 60 an eyebrow? I would be done shaving before they got the sentence done. I'd be like, sure.
Yeah. Well, the thing was as well with that, it was so funny because they shot a chunk of it and then they had to bring us back to shoot some more. So I got the 120 quid extra again. So you had your flat rate for just being there. And then they it's like a sort of just loads of additions. So eyebrows, 120 quid. If you had to hold a spear, you might get an extra 20 quid. If you have to have a creative response, you might get an extra 50 quid. So by the end of the day, you could come out with about 400 quid, which wasn't a bad day's wage back in the late 90s.
Not at all.
It's not a bad day's wage now, to be fair.
Yeah. Just have to have someone paint up my backside and sit in a tent. Like, that's not, it's not horrible. So there's worse ways to make 400.
Exactly. Living the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know you've been doing quite a lot lately. Are you able to talk about any of the things that are coming out or that you've just been working on?
Yes, I've been working on one for Fausti, but I can't say anything because he would kill me if I say anything. Obviously, Baz is one I'm really excited about, which hopefully will be a festival in January 2026. Fingers crossed. What else? A couple of other things that I can't. I mean, one thing I did recently, I had to sign an NDA before they even sent me the script.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, which is interesting. Fingers crossed for that as well. What else have I done recently? I mean, I try and keep myself busy, so I'm one of these people that I would generally say yes to most things. Sometimes I regret that, but generally I'll say yes to most things.
Are you writing anything right now?
Well, I've got this next film I'm working on called The Vampire Cripplegate, which I've kind of been working on for about 4 years. But it's all been time and money constraints, just kind of trying to get it all together. And I think I'm nearly there. I'm getting there. I've got a couple of locations in mind. So yeah, but I'm not rushing it really. I thought Tales from the Great War, I kind of rushed a little bit. And so there's bits of it that I'm not really happy with. So with this one, I'm just taking my time with it a little bit. There's no major rush. You know, it might take a while to film. But then, Lauren, I'm saying that to you, knowing that you're involved in a film that has been going on for many years, many years. There's no rush, is there?
No, exactly. That's the thing. You get it. You wait to get it right the way you want to do it, and then you'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's totally that way. Well, you've got by the time this goes out, When the Sun Stands Still will be out. Do you remember much of filming that? Because I know your part is in this scene that's like so shadowy and shady. It's got like an MI5 vibe. Do you remember it?
Yeah, that was great. In fact, actually, yeah, I saw that. I was bizarrely someone posted, someone else, another filmmaker posted that their film was being released on Dark Side, and I remember Tony saying ages ago that When the Sun Stands Still, Tony, yeah, he did say this. It was coming out on Dark Side as well. So I just went on to the new releases on their website, and then I saw it. I was like, wow, August 26th, it's being released. Fantastic. Yeah, that was great actually. Really atmospheric film, but I didn't do my best job on that. I'm sure your Tony has told you. We did a scene together, and I hadn't learned my lines at all. It's really bad thing to admit, especially here on a public forum. But I was moving house at the time. We were in the middle of this house move, and it was really stressful. We were kind of running 2 properties and paying for 2 properties, and then we had, because the sale fell through, and then Liz Truss got into power, and then all the banks started closing down their offers. So I was right in the middle of all of that, and I kept thinking, oh, I'll learn my lines. And then before I knew it, the shoot day was upon me, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't learned the lines. And I was frantically driving down to Kent, trying to learn my lines. I was going there. But in the end, I mean, I don't know if I should say this, might spoil the magic of the film, but Tony held the script up on him like that, and I kind of read the lines.
No way.
Yeah. Sorry if that's ruined the film for you.
No, I can't. I genuinely can't believe you didn't tell me that, because I very luckily, I'm sure you got it as well. The director James sent some of the cast the film to look at, so I got to watch it with Tony, and I would have had no idea. The scene looks great.
Yeah, I mean, I think James did a fantastic job with his cinematography, and it is a very moody scene, isn't it? You've got that sort of glass
it's
background.
All
Yeah. No, I was really pleased with it. And then someone told me afterwards, oh, don't worry, Marlon Brando used to do that. He did it in Apocalypse Now. And I was like, oh, okay then. Well, that's justified, isn't it?
There you go.
It's you and Marlon Brando. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, although he was as mad as a box of frogs, so I don't know what that's saying.
It sounds like you're going to end up getting an island in Tahiti somewhere. That's what I'm thinking.
That sounds good.
That should go.
Yeah, well, I'd settle for that.
Just wear muumuus all day long and chill out on an island.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you've been working on your vampire film for a while, but is there another film already in the back of your head for after that, or is your writing brain focused on just one at a time?
Yeah, I mean, I've got this other script in mind. It's more of a sort of social realism type film as opposed to veering away from the other weirder stuff, but I'm sure there'd be some weirdness in it at some point. Again, it's one of these ones, but I think this with every film that I write. I think I don't know how I'm going to make this, but eventually they get made. So yeah, I guess it always seems terrible. You know what it's like as a creative. You know, it always seems sometimes really daunting. You can't picture it getting done, but you know, eventually it does get done. Just got to keep the faith, or just be so stubborn that you just plow on regardless.
It's true.
I'm curious to know. You mentioned you have a son and a daughter. You have 2 children. are they into films or writing, or are they interested in what you do? Did they kind of get that itch to scratch as well, or do they do something completely different?
I mean, my son he's trained to be an electrician, so
Okay.
he's very practical. But I've used him on set a lot for various things. In Tales from the Great War, he stood in as a British soldier and a German soldier, and he's just quite good. He helped out on Fausti's film, moving some lighting around, etc., helping out Kamal, who has been working with Fausti as well. So yeah, he's not particularly interested in the making side of things, but I think he likes the technical side of things.
Okay.
Um, Again, it's another name drop. Sorry, it's not really a name involved, but a friend of mine was working for Amazon Studios, and she was working on Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings TV show. And she said, "Do you want to come up and have a look around the set?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure. Can I bring my kids?" And she said, "Yeah, bring them." And so we were walking around, and whereas me and my daughter were looking at the sets, going, "Wow, this is amazing." My son was just looking at the cabling and going, "Oh, that's a really shoddy job they've done there with the conduits and stuff." He was just focusing on that. So okay, fair enough. My daughter, I think, will be. She's very much into art and whatnot. So I think she'll.
Okay.
And she was in the numbers, and she helped out on Tales from the Great War. Again, this is a bone of contention with me and Tina, because I said, "Oh yeah, I've got this lovely Airbnb booked. For summer holidays, we'll go down with the kids." But it was on the farm where the trenches were. So basically, it was a holiday, but it was a holiday where we were making this film.
Yeah.
So,
Work holiday.
Yeah, a work holiday. Exactly. And we wrote the kids into it. And because they're my own kids, I don't have to worry about, kind of child employment law or anything like that. I can just exploit them.
Yeah. Do it while they're still at home, I say. Go for it.
Exactly. They've got to earn their keep.
Yeah, 100%. I haven't mowed my grass in years.
So you've got to get some perks out of parenthood, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So we always end up talking about horror movies that people love and things like that. But one of the questions that Chris and I tend to ask a lot on this is what horror movie would you give to somebody who wants to get into horror movies but doesn't necessarily know a lot or hasn't watched a lot of horror before?
Oh, okay, yeah. I think something perhaps I guess it depends on the person, but I would probably hone into their interests. Something like The Autopsy of Jane Doe, I think would be quite a good one, because if people like crime dramas or into those hospital dramas or whatever, you can kind of ease them in a little bit. There's a little bit of, what's going on here? It's a nice sort of chamber piece. It's all pretty much one location. It's not too gory, but there is a bit of suspense in there. I think that'd be quite a good one.
Cool.
One I saw recently that I thought was quite good was Heretic for that as well. The Hugh Grant one. Because again, you can get people with the fact that Hugh Grant's in it and say, "Oh yeah, Hugh Grant's in it. How bad can it be?" And actually, again, for the first half an hour of the film, it's them talking religion, philosophy, and whatnot. So it would ease people in and then suddenly hit them with it.
100%.
Whereas if I said to people that don't like horror, because you do get that, people go, "Oh, I just don't like horror films." You're like, what? You don't like the whole genre of horror and all its subgenres? There must be something you like.
Right.
So if you can break through those prejudices, I think a film like Heretic would do that quite easily.
That's a really good call. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Have
with
you seen
that.
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of it?
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And it's funny that you say that, because my wife wanted to see it because Hugh Grant was in it. Now, this is the same, my wife is like, oh, Notting Hill and Four Weddings and a Funeral. So she was thinking, here's Hugh Grant, and then it was turned into like more, the horror side of it. But she enjoyed it because it did kind of lull her in where she's following the story and you know, she wasn't jaded to the fact that like there's going to be a monster, there's going to be this. It
Yeah,
was following along with it. I thought it was great.
same. I thought it was one of the better films I've seen in a while, actually. And I think, like you say, you get invested with those two characters, the two missionaries. You really get invested with them
Mm-hmm.
and their story. And then, one of the missionaries seems to have a bit of a secret as well, so that kind of draws you in. And yeah, Hugh Grant, I mean, brilliant for non-horror fans.
Yeah, it's a good
100%.
call actually. I didn't Chris is who recommended it to me, and I did like it. I was a little unsatisfied with the ending because you have this amazing philosophical buildup. It's quite hard to live up to that. So I
Yeah,
don't think that's like a fundamental one of those things that's very hard to do. But I quite liked the way writing wise they kept misdirecting you on who you were going to focus on, who you thought the final girl would be, and that's quite
yeah,
fun. I like that they were able to do that because it's hard nowadays. You kind of, especially people like us who've been watching horror movies our whole life, you kind of know, even when you love a film, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is going to be the final girl, or this guy's going to die second, or you get a feel for it. It was nice to be surprised.
yeah. I thought that as well. And again, like you, the ending is a little bit like, oh, what?
Yeah.
What? But I guess it makes you think. I guess we're talking about it and going, oh, what was that ending all about? What did it mean?
Yeah. And like,
Uh,
even though I have that critique, I still recommend the movie to people. I still think people will enjoy it and it's a good film. It's not, it's just one of those things where you end up, your little brain goes like, oh yeah, how are they're gonna live up to this amazing thing? And like, of course it would be impossible.
yeah, yeah,
That's the saddest part of watching movies now is because it's like, well, it was really good. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but like you always have that one thing that's like it just kind of like kind of set your bar and you adjust it as you're watching something. And if it
yeah.
doesn't live up to that, it does that. But I actually saw a movie recently. I don't know if either of you have seen Weapons yet. It's the
No.
one that just got released. And I went in not I wanted to see it. The previews had gotten me, excited to see it. I didn't try to read anything else into it because I wanted just to enjoy it from kind of beginning to end. And it takes you on a ride, and I really liked it. Like I liked it as much, if not more, than Heretic.
Oh, okay. Well,
Ooh.
that's interesting. I will have to. That's on the list.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
Yeah,
definitely one that I would recommend people. I've heard from I recommended it to a buddy of mine who really doesn't like a lot of horror movies, doesn't like feeling scared. Like he's just like it's not my thing, and that is
yeah.
what it is. But he enjoyed that movie. He watched it at the theater, so like he was like it was good.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, very
So I would
cool.
recommend that if you're looking for something that's out now. If you want a night at the theater, that would be one that I would totally recommend.
Oh, top recommendation. Thank you.
And
If you
actually,
hate it, feel free to just blast me on it. That's fine.
No.
But
Yeah, yeah. I'll come back and say that was the worst film I've ever seen. No, it might. No, I think it's really hard because streaming services kind of spoil us, don't they? Long form TV drama now is just so good. The production values are so good. The budgets are so high on it that our expectations for everything is so much higher than perhaps it was, 20, 30 years ago. Um,
even 10 years ago,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everything, there's no real kind of mediocre TV, is there? It's all pretty good. Most of the shows that are coming out, and teams of writers on it, throwing loads of money at it. Um, so yeah, I do enjoy a good movie that's not part of a TV series. So Weapons sounds fantastic, actually.
Mhm.
Do you happen to have a recommendation for us? Because I'm equally always looking for a good movie.
Well, I mean, I kind of like you know what I like about Heretic? I kind of like those religious horror type films because
Oh, big
I
fan.
think there's that thing inside of us that, particularly if you're brought up in a religion where you question whether it's real or not, whether you've got the faith to believe everything that they're telling you. So I kind of love movies like that. I don't know if you've seen Saint Jude. That was a British film a few years back now, maybe 5, 6 years ago. set in a seaside town in Britain, and again,
Do you mean
real kind of
Saint Maud, the Carer?
oh, Saint Maud, yeah, Saint Maud.
Oh,
Is that the one?
amazing film. Sorry,
yeah.
keep telling people about it though, because if you haven't seen it, you should go.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely fantastic.
I love that.
So yeah, films like that I really like, you know. So I'm just trying to think. Possibly Heretic was the last good one I've seen, because it's been the summer holidays. I've been watching a load of Batman animated movies.
Nice.
And finding out there's 4 Robins, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
kind
know
of thing.
that.
And the original Robin is now Nightwing, and the 4th Robin is Batman's son. And it's this whole world opened up to me.
Very cool. I love that. Well, I think we're towards the end of our hour, but I want to just make sure we have the chance before you go to say if there's any other project we haven't had a reason to mention that you would like people to see, or if you want to send people towards your YouTube channel.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's another film I'm involved in called Echoes of Him, which is directed by Kamal Yildirim, who I think you've had him on the show before. Yeah, I haven't started working on it yet, but I'm really looking forward to working with him on that.
Nice.
And obviously the YouTube channel, my Caio Handy YouTube has just blown up recently because I put a bit of Return of the Jedi that I found on an old VHS tape on there, like the original ending of Return of the Jedi. So all of a sudden, I've had thousands of views and a few more subscribers from it, which is weird. I don't know why do people subscribe to you on the basis of one video that you put up? Because I can't maintain it. I've got no other bits of old Star Wars stuff on VHS, so they're going to be sorely disappointed after that.
But yeah, I'll make sure to send people that way. They can see some of your shorts and some of the ads. And where will they be able to follow Kamal's film? Does he have? Will he be posting about it on his Instagram, or just keep?
I think so. I think so. I think he's in the middle of because he shot some of it, and it's. Do you know Alex Nathan Woods? I don't know if you know him. He was in Tales from the Great War. He was in Video Shop, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Was it 2 that he was in? Video Shop 2.
I mixed them up in my head a lot. I think it was 2, but I wouldn't swear on that.
Yeah, so he's a lovely guy, and he wrote the script. Kamal's directing it, but they're still filming it, so they've been filming it in chunks. You know how it is. Yeah. You know, whenever you get the chance to film, you film. So I'm not filming with them until the winter, I think. But yeah, his Instagram, he'll probably have stuff on it. Yeah, Baz's one is the one I'm really excited about, and particularly you guys, if you love demonic, religious-based horror, I think you'll really enjoy this. It was a lot of fun to do.
Awesome. I'll make sure to put
very
links.
Cool.
It's called 45. He's releasing it on Blu-ray as well, I think literally next year sometime.
Oh, cool. I'll try and find like a link to that as well, and I'll add it for our viewers. I'll put up all those links for your YouTube for Kamal's and for 45, and hopefully keep people watching, because that sounds so up my alley. I love religious horror.
Yeah. There's something about it, isn't there?
Yeah, it really is. Well, for me, it's the closest we really do come to the supernatural in your own life, because you're believing in something that you can't interact with it in any way. So I love that part of it, and the mystery, and like you said, the faith and all of that. I don't know about you. Is it similar?
Yeah, because I guess if you have a movie about monsters, most of us know that monsters aren't real. You know, if you do a movie about the Loch Ness Monster or Sharknado or whatever, we know they're not real. But with religion, it's a grey area, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Depending on your beliefs, what you think is real and what isn't real. So kind of leaves it open for stuff happening. And if there is an evil, the evil stuff will happen. As most religious texts say, there is a lot of evil stuff, and the evil stuff is the opposite of the good stuff. So, it's really interesting. Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on with us. This hour's crazy flown by, but we've got so many good things to watch now. So thank you.
Well, it's been fun. Been a blast.
Yes. And great meeting you.
Likewise. And it's nice to, again, be in a room with another bald man.
Yes. We have to stick together. We really do.
That's right.
Not painted gold. So, that's
No.
even better.
No.
Well, hobbycraft.
There you go. Thank you so much again, and thanks to our listeners. This has been the London Horror Movie Club. If you want to share your thoughts about this episode, please head to our Facebook or YouTube pages. We're grateful to Cucurbit, who made our music. Thank you for listening, and please join us next time for the London Horror Movie Club.